so many rules, and then you and the team, the whole team at GMAT really helped me break down, the questions and really attack them in a pattern kind of situation. So
all right. Well, that's wonderful. So Akshay, typically we do this kind of debriefing session in two phases. In the first phase, we talk a bit about your preparation, and so I don't have a lot of details about when did you start preparing and other things. So we'll talk about that. The second phase, we talk about where you want to go next. And again, even for that, other than having your resume, I don't have a whole lot of details. So essentially, usually we keep each section to be about 15 minutes or so.
That sounds good.
Okay, so let's start with your preparation. When did you start preparing for the test?
I started it, I think, a couple of months before. Like, I've given the GMAT once before last year in January, and I mean, just with work, it was kind of difficult to get kind of time and all that. So I kind of gave it a shot. I got a 700. I was also very. I had a case of nerves on the day of the exam, feeling really, in this thing. So I felt I deserved a second shot, and I then, took a few months for work and other traveling and all that off, and then attempted it this year in June. I think, June is when I gave it.
Okay. So for your first attempt, when you scored a 700 and now you have a 750. So for your first attempt, how many months did you put in? What kind of effort?
I think it was like on and off 2 months.
On and off 2 months.
I didn't really get any time with work, as weekdays were all packed, and on the weekends too. It was like, I mean, I've never been like a person who can sit down for 12, 16 hours and study like that. And some people can.
Well, most people cannot, and that's not something I recommend anyway. Sitting down for 12 to 16 hours to study. In terms of absorbing new information, our brain can usually do that for about 3 to 4 hours. Then it needs to process it. So,
right.
So I think that part is something that I very strongly recommend. So that was 2 months on and off, and then right now it was 2 months. Was this dedicated during this time?
No, I just took took 7 days off before the day of the exam, and those were, I think, 10 consecutive days. With the weekend before and after, about 10, 11 days I had. I was focused in that period, because I knew that's the only time I had. So I just, kind of stepped down. I don't think I really changed anything from my last, in terms of new knowledge, but I think it helped me to, get some confidence, because the second time around is, the center, those things kind of threw me off the first time I gave it. I feel a little bit. And those were since I had already rehearsed them once, so it was much easier.
That is definitely helpful. So let's talk about your first attempt, 700. What were your score split at that time?
So basically, I had I think above in the top percentile in maths, and then I think I had 49 in maths, and in English I had like a good score, but RC I had like a 3 percentile. I don't know for
RC
what reason.
Really bad. Okay.
No, I am really good at RC in general. But I think the day of the exam, I just got nervous. And what happened was, CR and SC, you can really read the questions and, get to the answer real quick. RC, you need to have some kind of retention, a kind of a short, long-term memory, so to say, to answer the question right. And because of the heat of the moment and the stress, I think I did not, that kind of memory didn't work for me on that day. So I screwed up so bad. I've never screwed up so bad ever.
Okay. All right. So you got a 700. I think you would have gotten a verbal score of 36 if you had a Q49 or so.
I think 32. 32 was my...
32.
So then 32 or 33.
Then your quant would have been higher. Quant would have been Q50 at least then. If you had a 700.
Yeah, maybe.
If you had a 700.
Yeah, I had a 700. I know that for sure.
It would have been Q50 at a bare minimum.
Yeah.
So then, from a V33, did you get your enhanced score report?
I got it the first time, and that's how I know,
So what were your percentiles in SC, CR, and RC at that time?
SC, CR were, like really good. I don't remember the exact numbers, but they were, above, they were pretty good. but RC is the only number I remember
That's
because it
the
was
three
so
percentiles.
strikingly low. It was 3%. 3% is nothing. That just means you just bombed every
Yes.
question or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you might have
So
just,
I think that was,
if you had you answered the questions by just shutting your eyes, you probably would have done better than 3 percentile in RC.
you're right. It's a 50-50 split then. Yeah,
So
you're right. So I think that was what that was not good. But then I did read I did do the SC course before also in my first attempt also with
mhm.
e-GMAT.
Okay.
I did not complete the course. I just went through like the first few modules, and the second attempt I took some time because I realized the value of kind of like steady preparation and not just going into it, because English was a bit challenging. Maths was never challenging that much, but
Mhm.
uh, so that was helpful. And in the
So
second
let's talk
time, I
about your
think I got
second attempt.
42.
Yeah,
I
42
think I got a 42, or yeah,
in
41
verbal.
in English. In English, yeah.
41. That's what you have
Yeah, yeah.
reported actually.
Oh, yeah. Okay, 41 then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Q50 V41 is what you reported. Um, so let's talk about your approach to the second attempt. You already had a V32, V33. You knew you wanted a 740, 750. So what was the sequence in which you did things?
For me, I think the main thing was just practicing more of the question that came in earlier
Mm-hmm.
for maths and English both. And I think English, it was basically just kind of maintaining my nerves. That was the thing
Mm-hmm.
that really helped me. So I took. I think the one thing that really helped me was I took these exams, the mock exams, back to back.
Mm-hmm.
I did like 2 days, and it's not the best thing to do, but if I had my exam on the first on the 20th, I did one on 18th and two on 19th or something like that, mock tests
Okay.
from the GMAT website, on a go, so that I can have the stamina to really last that long also. So I just gave like a 6 hour kind of thing, marathon, just to prepare myself for the 3 hour or 4 hour marathon next day.
Okay. But I mean, you spent 2 months during your second attempt. So where did you spend that time?
So my main this thing was I only could take out some time in the weekends. So
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it was like 2 months every day. I know you advise during your courses and your seminars, so at least put in some time every single day.
Mm-hmm.
But I tried to, but I just couldn't do it with
Okay.
work. So ended up, I said it was 2 months on and off, but I think the only preparation I did was in the last 10 days when I was at home,
Okay.
and kind of I didn't have work.
So where did you spend those 10 days?
So those 10 days I spent on a variety of things. I so I spent on strategy also, some strategy of the exam. How to approach each section
Mm-hmm.
through some of the help you've given in the seminars, and also GMAT club is it always comes in handy.
Mm-hmm.
Then I spent time going through the SC. I think I also ended up buying the whole course in the end.
Okay.
I think it was I just bought it like 1 week before the exam in
Okay.
my in the 10 days leading up to the ones I had on
Mm-hmm.
off. That's when I got the whole verbal
Mm-hmm.
online course, and just went through the stuff as much as I could. I didn't do a lot of RC. I should have done like more RC, but I did not do it. But SC was great, CR was great, and that's what I focused on.
Mm-hmm.
And maths I didn't focus a lot on, except doing just the previous year questions
Mm-hmm.
from the on OG. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So primarily
And I
brushing up.
also I also did some tough questions. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. That
I
sounds
don't
good.
think preparation wise I did something great to go from 700 to 750. But I mean, it's understandable. My RC 3 percentile was not the blue, so if I just rectified that, I think I would have reached the score in like whatever time.
Well, I would really tell you this, that had you rectified RC, you probably would have gotten to the journey from a V38 to a V40, V41 starts to get that much more difficult, because remember this, it's about comparative ability.
Yeah,
It's not a flat test. So yes, had you, RC was a big thing. RC is something that would have helped you go from a V30 to V33 to a V37. But that journey from V37 to V41 even though it may seem like, in terms of it may help you get an additional
3-4
just 30
points.
or 40 points or 3 or 4 points. But those 30 or 40 points is the difference between you getting a scholarship or not even getting an admit. Because again, as I
That's
say,
true.
in terms of
I want to
percentile,
make sure that 750. Yeah.
yeah, because at 750 you're at 98 percentile, I believe, if I remember correctly. So you're amongst the top
Yeah,
4,000
760 is
students.
99 now.
Yeah, 760 is 99.
Yep.
Well, it's been 99 since 2011, actually. So 750 used to be 99 in 2010.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, when you are among the top 4,000 students, whereas with a 700, which is I think 89 right now or 88, I don't remember. So it's one of those two. You are amongst
I
the top.
think 89 is right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are amongst the top 20 to 24,000 students. So it's a huge difference when you look at the
Yeah, you're
bucket in
right.
which your applications go in. So when you look at the top schools in the world, there are about 7,000 seats over there. And if you're amongst the top 4,000, it's a completely different equation than if you're amongst the top 24, 25,000. So definitely, I think that those, as I said, it may seem like 4 points, but those 4 points can be a huge deciding factor. I mean, in the same way, I think you've given you studied at DCE, right? So
Yep.
in the entrance exam, I don't know if they still give other raw scores, but during my time, they used to give other raw scores, and a difference in 1 point
Yeah, I
meant
think so.
that you could go from a computer science to a mechanical.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Yeah.
So so I think that's where these things. Sometimes it's fate, also sometimes, but eventually it's a lot of effort. On an exam such as GMAT, it's a lot of effort because it truly tests your ability that way.
Yeah, and I must thank you guys at GMAT and you specifically, because I think more so not for the concept. I used to listen on seminars in the end just to kind of be in touch with everyone, the other kids who are preparing, and also just like hear little kind of one-liners of wisdom that you guys used to kind of share with us, which were kind of motivating, and also at the same time it's important to be applied in the exam. At the same time, it's motivating to listen to people who are preparing to a teacher who's so engaged. So I think I have you to thank.
Oh, well, thank you for that. So let's talk about next steps for you. So where are you?
Yeah.
Which schools are you planning to apply to?
So could be like.
Or have you already applied?
I've not applied anywhere. I've gone. I've gone to a lot of schools in the last couple of years. Just doing visiting. I also actually came back from 6 months in Chicago for work, so I took my time to visit a few schools there too, in New York also. So I mean the schools that I was in India, I feel like the only school that makes sense for me is ISB, and I mean, I'm going to be honest, like there are only two reasons why I'd like to do an MBA right now. One is that if I want to have access to a job market that I currently do not have access to. Right now, I feel that, in the Indian job market, I can apply anywhere and just, have access to that market. But if I want to kind of settle down in the US or Canada or, other places outside, then to get access to the job market, I should get an MBA from a good school from there. So that's the only reason I would consider applying to, say, Columbia, Stern. I have a preference for New York. I have some family there. So, or Tuck. I'm thinking about these schools. But then again, I mean, to be honest, I don't, and I would, value your perspective on this, that, given the considerable time and money cost of an MBA at this point, and with, the new administration and all those things that are going on that side, I personally don't understand. I just personally don't feel comfortable spending that amount of money on an MBA in the US.
So how does the amount of money spent differ from, so if you were to go to ISB, you'd be spending about what, 35 lakhs?
Yeah, 35 lakh, yes.
Okay. And if you get into any of these schools with a partial scholarship?
Yeah, so I have not factored the scholarship factor because I wasn't sure if, because I know I am from a pool that's like very concentrated and all that.
Not really. You worked at Deloitte. Yes, you were an engineer, but you worked at Deloitte, which is not what, or you are currently working at Deloitte, right? If I understand correctly.
I am currently working at Deloitte, yes.
So I mean, that's not as many people. Okay. And again, remember this. You are in the top 2 percentile among the top 4,000 people. Out of the top 4,000 people, you have about 1,000 from US, 1,500 from China, about 1,000 from India, and another 500 from other parts of the world.
Oh, okay. That's a nice breakdown.
So,
Yeah.
so I mean, essentially, if you think about it, you are in a pretty decent company with someone who has a background from Deloitte, who's amongst the top 1,000 from India.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are two ways to look at it. One is, and that's kind of where the strategy aspect really comes to mind. One is, first of all, do you really want to live in US or Canada?
Yeah, that's the big question I'm struggling with. So I just came back from 6 months stint there, and I'm kind of, I'm split both ways. I'm not really
So I think
sold on it.
that is the
I've
bigger
been I've
question.
been to multiple places, multiple times all around for work. So it's not like it was my first time. And some people are like, okay, we want to shift there, but I feel there are pros and cons to everything. And
Yeah.
at this point, I'm just thinking, whether it makes sense for me to shift there.
So I think that's the bigger question, because frankly, if you think worried about the visa situation, you can pretty much go to any B school in Canada where they have an amazing visa policy.
Yeah, I just read it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there are. Let's say you said I am dead on Canada or US, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that case, there are three options. One is, you go to a top B school with scholarship. If you go to a top B school with scholarship, you pretty much pay the same thing as you pay over here going to ISB in the end. Because remember, you also make money during the second year.
Right, for the
Okay.
internship. Yeah.
Yeah, there will be an internship, and you will continue the internships during the second year. Right.
Okay.
So it's not just a 3-month internship, but post that as well in the second year. All right.
Okay.
So in a net worst case, if you go to a top school and come back, you'd have an MBA, a great MBA, and it'll be same as doing it from ISB, actually better than doing it from ISB essentially. And I'm
But
very sure Deloitte would value you a lot more in India.
yeah, you're right. You're right. But I mean, I know you. I had a quick
That's
question.
a first option essentially.
Yeah.
Second
Okay.
option is go to a not a super top school, but still a very good school in those areas. Get a full fellowship. In
Mm-hmm.
that case, you graduate with some money in your pocket, so 25 to
Yeah.
30 lakhs, and because of, again, the same internships are still there. And then if you have to come back again, you did an MBA for free. You actually made your money during that time, so you made some money during those 2 years. And the third is go to
Yeah.
Canada, where visa is not an issue.
Yeah. You're right.
And then
That
Rotman
does
and
make
a
sense.
couple of other schools are really amazing schools.
Yeah, Rotman is pretty good. They give you 3 years something, visa to
No,
work. I think.
they in Canada essentially. So there is this also. I don't know if you've read about this policy where Canada is saying, hey, if you have a job in the US but you can't get a visa, come and get a green card or a residency over there.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, think of it this way: from a political standpoint, I don't know if you consult with governments as part of your work at Deloitte, but from a political standpoint, countries like Canada, Australia, they want to get more and more qualified people, because guess who pays their social security? It's that's a huge
Right.
contribution to their social system, because all of these countries have aging population.
Right. Right. That's true.
It's the same problem with US, frankly. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump just wants to score political points with his policies, but
Yeah.
rarely if it drives immigrants away, the social system will actually have a huge burden to deal with.
Yep, the productivity will also be impacted.
The productivity would be impacted, the jobs would go away, the social system would not get the taxes that it needs, because over here right now 15% of our wages goes towards social security, and that's not money that is saved for us. That is money that is saved, that is used to pay the people who are drawing on social security right now.
Right.
So it's the same. So when I pay social security, I'm not guaranteed that that money is going to come to me.
Right. That's
So
true.
so that's the same thing in pretty much all of developed world.
Oh,
Another
that's true.
consideration for you is, if you're going to start in 2018, most likely you're going to graduate you're going to graduate in 2020 when Trump's this would be done. His term would be
Almost
done.
over.
Almost over. Yeah, 4 months, 5 months more post that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, H1's been an integral part of US. H1's not going away. The thing with and I don't know if you've been following the elections in which is it? Where did they happen just 3 days back? Alabama, yes. Where Roy Moore lost.
Yeah.
So the difference between H4 and H1 is H4 mandate. I don't know if you've been hearing the H4 mandate about it today.
Not the H4 thing.
So H1 is something that has to go through Congress. Donald Trump can't do anything. Whereas a bunch of other things is what Donald Trump can do, which are presidential things, but not about H1. So any law that is passed in Congress can only be changed in Congress.
Right.
So yeah. I mean, again, the key question is, where do you want to live? Because with this score, you have those options.
So, Rajat, I wanted to get your take on one more thing. Was that, you mentioned scholarship, and you mentioned that I'm going to end up paying 35 lakhs in ISB here.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were to get a scholarship in a USP school, I would end up paying about the same money. But do you think that would be true? Because 60,000 a year times 2 is 120,000, and 20,000 is going to be what? Almost with living expenses will be like 1 crore.
Your living expenses over there, again, depending on the school that you go to, would vary. But essentially, if you think about it, I'm assuming you get a $40,000-$50,000 scholarship.
And what is that assumption based on? Just curious.
Your score and your background.
So 50,000 from like what kind of a school would give that kind of scholarship?
I mean, I would say so. I've had students who've been slightly older at the same score range. So Tepper, for example, has given that kind of scholarship to students.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, tier 1 schools is what I'm talking about over here.
Okay, so like top 15 kind of. No, not maybe top 5, but below that.
Yes.
Because top 5 is is really tough to get a scholarship there, I think.
It's a bit more difficult to get scholarship there, but again, the key thing really is how much they like you in the interview.
Right.
So that's something which is there. So if you get $40,000-$50,000 worth of scholarship, and essentially you work during the second year, I mean, and frankly, sit down and do this math, right?
Okay,
a typical internship is, I mean, during my times when I did an internship, I made $35 an hour times 160 hours. So that was about $5,500 to $6,000 or so, just during the internship. Right. And then I also worked 15 hours a week after my internship during the second year.
Okay, like a teaching assistant position?
No, just did other internships at companies.
Oh, okay.
So essentially, if you do the math, in the end, what you're going to really find is that studying at ISB is going to be about and versus studying at another amazing school in US. The delta is going to be between $20,000 and $30,000. And if you think about it in the larger scheme of things, what are $20,000 and $30,000? It's nothing.
Yeah, that is true.
Right. And now I know it seems a lot right now, but when I look at the equation with ISB, there's a standard path that's been defined for you, right? And that's where it seems easier when you look at the equation at USB school, that you've got to fight for an internship, you've got to fight for that scholarship, right? You've got to then fight for a job, okay? But at the same time, also look at the opportunities that you get. Also look at the quality of education that you get. And in the end, you really say the worst thing happens, I don't get a job. How much of a delta is it? And what is that delta in the context of larger things? The other piece which is there is, and life at ISB is struggle academically, but it's not struggle professionally. Life at a top B school is going to be struggle both ways. And I actually like, if you at that age, the age at which you are in, you got to struggle both ways. That's where the learning is.
That is true. I realized that too in the workplace.
Yes, I mean, I remember when I got my first internship, I had to write 90 to 100 cover letters. I was in a state of despair, but what that taught me was that, hey, never lose hope, and essentially that thing prepares you for everything in the world. I mean, essentially you've got to make a bet if you want to aim high. If you don't bet, yes, you can have a safe life and a decent life, but then in the end you're going to really find out and really say, hey. So
I understand that. I think, yeah.
I mean, there's a math to it, and then there's the hey, what do you really want side to it.
That's true. I'm kind of leaning towards the Canada thing a little bit, because I feel the education, US Canada is going to be similar. I know, people talk about the US education in different terms.
Don't look at what people talk about. Look at the professors. See, the school doesn't provide education, the professors do. Right. So compare the professors and then make a decision. That would be the most informed decision that you would make.
That makes sense.
Yeah, don't read others' opinions, frankly, is what I would say. Do the numbers, read about the professors, and see where you want to study.
Right.
In fact, even if you want, approach the professors.
Right. Makes a lot of sense.
So, but what is it that you want to do essentially post your MBA? We didn't talk about that.
So for me, I've worked 6 years in consulting, in management consulting. No, it's not IT related at all. But first 3 years I focused on like retailers, Tesco, Walmart, Kroger, and now I'm focusing on the aviation industry and oil and gas in the beginning few years. So I think I've got a broad sense of consulting. I know it's like really fast paced and like it's really high stress and everything. So the sense that I get is, I'm not quite sure if I want to stick to consulting. I think I really want to go to technology as a product management, in a project management role. I think that is something that I want to do for the future. I'm not interested in finance or investment banking at all. I don't want to push myself there only just for the money and etc. because that won't help. So I think it's either consulting for me at MBB, which I know how it's going to go. It's going to be crazy. Crazy travel and all that.
So I
and
think then you have your task cut out. Then basically, if you want to do consulting, TAC is one of the most amazing schools for that. And it's an amazing place. It's an amazing culture. It's a very cold place, but an amazing culture overall. If you want to do product management, UCLA, UC Berkeley, really good places to be.
So on the West Coast.
Yes. And an amazing place to live again.
Yeah, great weather too, right?
Really good weather. Yes. And just culturally really, really good places to live. I mean, I and Pal think about moving to LA all the time, or SF all the time, and we
SF
might
is
just.
really expensive though.
It is. It is. But again, that's kind of the thing where Berkeley is not, for example. It's not that far off. It's about 40 minutes. And again, it's a really good campus. It's a very small town kind of feel. So UCLA is a really great place to be. I spent a couple of days at UCLA this May. It was really, really fun
Oh,
at the
great.
school over there. So I'm gonna be spending a week at Chicago, at GSB Chicago and Kellogg next summer. So
nice. It's gonna be really cold now there. Because
right
when I
now
left,
it's terrible. Yes.
Started to snow already.
Yes. So again, those are the schools that I would aim for, and UCLA, I think you'll have a really good chance of a pretty decent scholarship.
UCLA.
Yes, and it's a great technology-focused school. They have some amazing programs in the product management space.
Right. What do you feel about Stern?
Stern's very good too.
I liked it. I know it's a bit finance focused.
No. Stern has a very strong entrepreneurship and technology division.
Yeah.
So we were there. We were also there. We were last year. Sorry, we were hosted by Stern. So MIT and Harvard, and we had a session with a professor who runs the entrepreneurship division, and he talked about the kind of entrepreneurship programs that come through Stern and their interaction with the engineering school. So again, really, really good choice too.
Right.
And again, Boston's a really good place to live as well.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, Stern and Columbia, if I want to apply to these two places definitely, because if I get admitted there, I don't have to worry about living expense. I have family there, so it's going to be much easier.
I personally would really say this, that if you're going to go to are you married?
No.
If you want to go to a B school, live on campus.
Around campus, because they don't have any dormitories on campus.
Yeah, if you especially want to get an admission in Stern, yeah, those would be the best 2 years of your life. I can tell you that. I can vouch for it. And I lived on campus when I studied at Babson, and I mean, those years were just incredible. You remember days from those years that way.
Right. So, I think that's again very valuable. I'll take that into consideration.
Yes, I mean, don't worry about living with family. You don't want to kill this experience. The friends that you make during this time are the friends that's going to stay with you forever, essentially.
I think I just lost you there.
I said the friendships that you cultivate during this time will stay with you forever. So, and you need time to cultivate those friendships.
That's fair. Okay.
So yeah, you're not going to a business school just to get that education. You're also going to a business school to make those friends, and so do that. Don't stay with family and other things. The family will remain after that too.
I'll take that into consideration. Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, that's all I can really say. But I think, given your background, given your GMAT score, your other qualifications, I think a good thing is you have multiple options.
Yes. I mean, again, I just want to thank you for taking your time from your busy schedule.